song? I didn't record yet. Okay. Yo, mic check. All right. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Run the Tape. 3 dudes, 1 game, and all the tape. I'm your boy Liam.
It's your boy Kai.
Griff.
And we are back for episode 25. We are in the middle of the first round. A lot of exciting action is going on. But let's start off with some of Pat Riley's comments. Listen in here.
So I'm just going to give you flat out, no, I wouldn't do that. Unless somebody gave me 8 picks in Mumbai.
So obviously Pat Riley had some important words to say about Bam Adebayo, saying that he wants 7 draft pick or 8 draft picks and Victor Wembanyama to give up Victor Oladipo. What are your thoughts on his comments about Bam?
Adebayo.
Oh yeah, my bad. Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, okay. Honestly, I'm very disappointed, and I feel like at this point, I think that Pat Riley should inevitably just step down as being the Miami Heat's president. Honestly, I know he's a legend, and he's just one of the most well-known people in basketball, but, you know, you're an organization. You are competing out there to win championships. That's what you go out every season to do.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Bam Adebayo at this point is just not a serviceable player enough for you to keep around long term. At least not being able to ship him out. He's good. I know the 83 points, you gotta acknowledge him for that. But let's be honest, this Miami Heat team has been in no man's land for
A while.
at this point. They are a play-in merchant team.
Yeah.
Going back to 2023. And you guys have just been stuck in 8s and 9 seeds for a really long time. And it's time to change up this team. It's time. And having Bam Adebayo and keeping him around at his old age is not going to progress you any further. You got to give Eric Spoelstra stuff to work with. And keeping him there just like this with no assets to work around, having the same roster, as a matter of fact, getting worse every single year, you're not making your team better. You're not moving this organization forward. So, Pat Riley, sorry.
100%. Yeah, even if they got a big free agent, right, and they paired whoever it is with Bam and whatever they have now, that still doesn't move me remotely. That still doesn't strike me as a contender whatsoever.
They can get anybody.
And going back to what you said about Pat Riley, I'm not going to say he should step down, but I think his comments were a little bit ignorant. I'm not going to lie. I think that him saying that he wouldn't trade, I get the loyalty aspect of it, I really do. But him saying that he wouldn't do it for 8 picks and Wemby just isn't a smart thing to say, right? Bam is not a top 5 or even borderline top 10 big in the league right now, in my opinion. He's coming off a season where he's averaging 20 and 10 and 3 assists. Okay, that sounds good on paper. He's averaging 44% from the field as a big. And that is not good. He had a career low in blocks this year. He's not the same defensive presence as he used to be. I'm taking guys like Karl Anthony Towns over him. I'm taking Wemby over him.
No doubt.
I'm taking Jokic and Giannis over him. And I'm not saying I'm taking this guy over him, but I would say a guy like Julius Randle is on a similar level right now to Bam, production-wise, 100%.
I don't think that's controversial to say at all.
So, yeah, listen, if you can somehow, if the team were to offer 3 first-round picks for Bam and a young asset,
you take that
in some dream world, and Pat didn't take that, I would be really concerned if I were a Heat fan.
100%.
Because I think Heat fans know it's time to move on.
Yeah. I agree with you, but I took his comments in a different way. I'm kind of viewing it more from the GM's perspective, right? This is a guy, obviously it sounded like in the comments that he's not looking to shop Bam Adebayo, but I think you're both right. It's time to move on from the Bam Adebayo era in Miami. Now, as far as the comments, I think This is your GM. This is a guy who's been loyal to you, and like you commented on, it's not about loyalty at this point, but Pat Riley's going to try to sell high. He's going to embellish how much he's worth. I understand why he made those comments. Obviously, they're not going to be true. If you had any chance of getting Victor Wembanyama, you pounce on that. But like I said before, they haven't made it past the first round since 2023. You are a play-in merchant. Something has to be shifted. You are in the worst spot for an NBA team to be in, is that play-in right out of the play-in range, where you're not bad enough to get a good pick and you're not good enough to really make a run or sign a free agent. And they've been in that no man's land really since they signed Jimmy Butler. Maybe you can go back even further to when they lost LeBron James, right? Something needs to be shooken up in Cleveland. Now, I don't know if it's Pat Riley going away. I think he's terrific at what he does. He always keeps the Miami Heat. What?
You said Cleveland.
Oh, my bad. Miami. I think he's terrific at what he does, but it might be time for the Miami Heat to look elsewhere in the GM. But I just thought it was interesting. He also said he wasn't going to step down anytime soon, which...
That sounds very Pat Riley, though.
Yeah, it does. It does. He's a very stubborn guy, as everyone in the league knows.
But he's one of the best basketball people. Faces.
Oh, yeah. Coaches, minds, whatever you want to call it.
Can't talk about basketball without Pat Riley.
100%. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the current playoffs that are going on right now. Obviously, Houston took a big win in Game 4, their first win of the series, making it a 3-1 series. Austin Reeves has been moved to questionable for Game 5 back in LA. Is there hope for the Houston Rockets to possibly make a comeback against the Los Angeles Lakers?
Obviously, there's more hope now. I mean, I think we've all agreed that the Rockets were the favorites in this series prior to any games being played to be the winners, just based off roster construction, even without KD. And as is shown in Game 4, they actually look like a solid team out there. And when people step up like Amen Thompson and Alperen Sengun, this is the results that you get. Alperen Sengun had a solid game. Games 3 and 4 didn't really play that well in 2 and 1.
Yeah.
But if they had that similar production, they can push a few more games. But 3-0.
Yeah.
Never been done ever in NBA history.
I agree. I think there's a little bit of light because of how depleted this Lakers roster is. And, Kevin Durant is still questionable to come back in this series, which I think could shake some things up. But there's not much light. LeBron James had his worst playoff game since 2020. He only had 10 points. He only took 9 shots. That's not a LeBron James you're going to see for 3 more games. Amen Thompson had his best offensive game with 23 points, where he was shooting the ball, especially that mid-range, extremely well, something that we haven't seen from Amen Thompson really all season long. Sengun had a great game. We saw the desperation from the Houston Rockets in that Game 4, and we saw the fatigue from the Lakers. But I don't think that this is going to shift the series in any way. I mean, to get 4 straight wins against the J.J. Redick coach team, against the LeBron James, just very unlikely to me.
Yeah, I said this before, but I think this Lakers roster currently is pretty fatigued right now. And with how young and energetic and athletic and long and annoying and pesty as this Rockets team is, it's definitely a little concerning if you're the Lakers, for sure. You can't relax. You can't relax because this is a team that, if they get KD back, can come back in a series 100%. Amen Thompson has been playing incredible.
Definitely.
Incredible. I'll give him that. Great on the defense, obviously, but also his facilitating, right? He's getting guys involved. And honestly, I've never been a big fan of the Amen point guard role, but he's doing his best with it, and it looks like it works at times, but at other times, it's kind of
Definitely on and off.
I will say,
Enough.
when we get Fred VanVleet back next year, I think we'll change a lot of our tones of what Amen Thompson really is. I feel like the role that he's currently playing in right now clearly doesn't suit him. And when he goes into his traditional role as, a small forward or a shooting guard, I think we'll really see the potential of what we know of Amen Thompson.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's more of his natural role. I think same goes for Reed Shepherd, who played a really important part in their Game 4 win. He's just not a point guard, right? He just struggles facilitating. He's a great shooter. Everyone knows that about him. And I think that's what we saw in his Game 3 kind of a struggle game. Is his just lack of facilitating. If he's in that shooter role and you have Fred VanVleet being able to feed him the ball, this Houston team is so different. We look at this Houston team so much different. Like it is what they're missing. I'm shocked they didn't go out and get one at the trade deadline, but past is the past. Yeah.
Another guy too. I said this before, but Steven Adams, man, he would have been a matchup nightmare for DeAndre Ayton. Would absolutely destroy him on the block, 100%.
But it's still crazy because like the Rockets are still out rebounding the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
Still, the series has gone this far, and the Lakers have been turning the ball over like crazy as well. This
Second
series.
straight game with 20 plus turnovers.
Yeah, it's insane, and they're still taking wins. Like Rockets should be taking this.
Yeah.
I've been really disappointed with Jabari Smith Jr. I don't know. Like he's getting good shots off, and
Yeah.
he's just not hitting them. 4 for 15 in Game 4, 2 for 10 from the 3-point land.
And they kept him over a guy like Dylan Brooks, who, I mean, if the Rockets had Dylan Brooks, this is not a series probably. You know, they would probably be up. They would definitely be up 3-0. Like
right.
Dylan Brooks had season of his career, really turning the narrative around.
Oh yeah, you're so right.
Let's switch over to the Eastern Conference. Big win for the Toronto Raptors in Game 4, tying the series 2-2. Headed back to Cleveland for Game 5. Obviously, super sloppy game all around. But did Toronto win this game or did Cleveland lose this game?
Cleveland clearly lost this game. You know, we know them as an exceptional offense, one of the best offenses in the league. You're a deep team. You know, you have offensive juggernauts like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell on your team, who are scoring machines.
Yeah.
Game 4, didn't see that whatsoever from either of them.
Game 3 or Game 4.
Game 3 or Game 4. James Harden shooting abysmally
Yeah.
from the field.
And he had 7 turnovers.
It looked like he was just chucking the ball out there. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. Like, obviously, really low scoring game. The final score being 93 Raptors, 89 Cavs. But James Harden needs to play a lot better than this. This entire team needs to be playing a lot better than this. You guys are a deep team. You have scores all around. Max Strus having a bad game. Like, unbelievable. This team needs to play a lot better. Like, Max Strus 1 point, and then Donovan Mitchell 25% from the field.
Yeah, and
What is this?
Max Strus, he had a good, I believe it was Game 1 and Game 2, but the past 2 games, I remember in that last game, at least Game 4, they played him down the stretch, and he went cold. I think last game he had, correct me if I'm wrong, but 1 point.
1 point.
1 point the whole game, and this is a guy that they're going to have to rely on him coming off the bench and giving them points, because outside of Donovan Mitchell, outside their starting lineup, you don't look at this team and you say they have a lot of scorers. You say they have a lot of great role players. Jared Allen, Mobley. I mean, Mobley is more than a role player, but Max Strus just has to be bigger for them. Sam Merrill was one of their best offense in the fourth quarter in that Game 4. What do you think?
I think the Raptors won this game, man. And obviously, the offense was horrible on both sides. Scotty Barnes, 6 for 15. Okay, 6 for 23 for Brandon Ingram. Not good at all. Jacoby Walter played 27 minutes, went 0 for 9. RJ Barrett, 8 for 22. Horrible. But the defense of the Raptors, man, I'm just so impressed. I'm impressed at how Scotty Barnes can really guard 1 through 5 in this series. Had 3 blocks. I've been so impressed with Barrett's defense too, really stepping up on the perimeter. We were talking about this, and I don't know if you want to speak on him.
Yeah,
Colin Murray Boyles.
Love him. He's a great rookie. I think he's a great acquisition, man. Like you said, like we were talking about earlier with Colin Murray Boyles, Grabs a lot of offensive rebounds for you. Obviously, very undersized for his position, but hustle player, and he played a really, really good game 4.
Played
for
an
you
important
guys.
role in that game.
Very important role.
And this is a Toronto team that, let's not forget, they're missing their point guard Emmanuel quickly. And we've seen guys like Jamal Shed step up for them. We've seen guys like Scotty Barnes. I mean, I know we can praise Scotty Barnes as much as we want, but his role in the offensive end, being a facilitator for this team at times, is big. They need that. They're missing their point guard. So a lot of good coming out of Toronto right now. But yeah, I think I'm going to also go the route of Cleveland lost this game. Just lack of offense. That's what you got to be able
That's
to
your
do.
bread and butter, man.
Exactly. That's your bread and butter. That's what you have to be able to do at a high level. And when they can't do that, I understand they're supposed to have a really good defense, but that's not, again, it's not your bread and butter. You were sold on Cleveland because of the offense. They didn't have it for the past 2 games, and it's cost them big.
Totally.
Yeah, let's stay in the East. Joel Embiid returned to the NBA floor after missing, I think it was like 2-3 weeks with I forget what the injury was called. So he had surgery, and he made his return for the Philadelphia 76ers last night, scoring 26 points. But the story that has come out after last night's game is, did the Sixers look better with Joel Embiid off the floor?
Totally. Like, you can just tell that he's just a step off from Joel Embiid we know. Obviously, offensively, he's just a gifted NBA player.
Yeah.
You know, he knows how to put the ball in the basket, but he's just lost a step. And you really see it on the defensive side. He is a liability out there. Like, the amount of rebounds and offensive rebounds that the Celtics were getting, second chance shots that turned into threes. This is a team that shoots the lights out from 3. And we saw that especially the other night. And it really cost the Sixers. And it really slowed down this offense, having Joel Embiid out there.
Yeah.
And I think something that especially Tyrese Maxey and Edgecombe thrive on is playing with a lot of speed, right? A lot of transition opportunities, and just playing quickly overall. And I think that with Embiid on the floor, the pace slows down so much, and it really limits this offense who relies on speed a lot.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And also, when you're thinking about the matchup with the Boston Celtics, which are the slowest paced team in the NBA, to play at a slow pace with Embiid on the floor doesn't help. I mean, I think you mentioned it before. Embiid had a minus 25 plus minus. Maxey and VJ Edgecombe became the second fiddle to Embiid when he played on the floor for the Sixers. And that can't happen, especially with a guy that is still ramping up from an injury. Obviously, Embiid played a really good game, but that cost Maxey's aggression and VJ's aggression, especially in that first half. Max only put up 3 shots
And
in the
even
first
Paul
half.
George, too.
Even Paul George. And at this point in the season, when you already were able to steal 1 against the Celtics, I don't know if it was the right move to bring Embiid back, especially knowing his injury history. Now, on paper, you would say Embiid on the floor is always a plus, but watching them play, not allowing Embiid to ramp up, not allowing these guys to get used to Embiid on the floor, not getting Maxey the right amount of touches, I think really cost the Sixers potentially a competitive series. And I think this also begs the question, should the 76ers move on from Joel Embiid?
Yeah, I'll say it first. I think it's definitely time. Let's just say it's time for a change of scenery for Joel Embiid. The process, unfortunately, did not work. It didn't work. And that really hits home, right?
Yeah.
It makes you cry inside because
They had so many chances.
100%.
They had so many chances. You know how many number 1 picks they had?
Oh my gosh, man.
That was the process.
How many
And
draft picks they had? Yeah.
How many first overall, top 3 picks, and to see it fail, it's truly disappointing.
Yeah. It's unfortunate to say, but like, I would like to see Joel Embiid go to one more spot and see if he can do his thing. Yeah. But I don't really see that happening. I really don't. I think this league is just getting too quick. And I don't think, obviously with his injury past, but also just how the game is evolving, I don't think he fits the future of this league. And whatever.
That's
Yeah.
a really interesting point I didn't consider.
I mean, for sure. I mean, the league is just getting faster and faster. Pace and shooting is at an all-time high. Obviously, we see that in the NBA now with how many just, not even Joel Embiid aside, there's overall injuries in the NBA that we're seeing, which we'll get to later. But Joel Embiid is just like on the loose end of that stick, where it's very unfortunate. We know the peak and how good Joel Embiid was. And I mean, gonna go down as a Hall of Famer regardless. But it is very unfortunate.
But also, one thing I do want to put out there, the concept of a guy coming back, hasn't played in ages, and expecting everything to go smoothly also isn't fair.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
That's not a fair thing to ask. You can't ask for prime Joel Embiid and everyone being on the same page, right? It's not going to happen.
Yeah, especially after
Maybe
weeks of
if he
sitting out.
maybe things would have been different if you were to be able to play the last few regular season games, get his footing, be ready for the playoffs, play game 1, game 2, and really developing some chemistry, right? But they weren't
Yeah.
able to do that, and that hurt the Sixers, and that's why they're going to go home.
Yeah, the same way the Celtics kind of like brought in Jason Tatum and really just like was able to ease him into the playoffs this year. And
Yep.
look how good Jason
well it
Tatum's
worked
doing.
out, yeah.
Dude, he's arguably the best player on the Celtics right now,
Yep.
which is crazy to say. So I think the way that the Celtics managed Jason Tatum is how the Sixers should have managed Joel Embiid. Very unfortunate though.
Yeah, and I think you look at the Sixers and you look at a whole lot of mismanagement over the years, whether it's the Harden situation, whether you want to look at the Paul George signing that way, I would. Whether it was just managing Embiid's whole injury, Jared McCain, giving up Jared
Tobias
McCain.
Harris,
Yeah,
Jimmy Butler, like
there's been a lot of mismanagement.
Ben Simmons.
And I 100% agree with both of you that I think that it's time for the Sixers to move on from Embiid, but really it's time for Embiid to move on from the Sixers. Possibly a change of scenery would change how I feel about Embiid, but right now it doesn't look like he can be the number one option on a championship team. The way he was moving last night, obviously he had 26 points, but if you're feeding him the ball of your possession, and then on defensive end, he's just super slow, and you have to play at the slow pace all the time. I don't think the fit is right, and I think that a change of scenery could be the best thing for Joel Embiid at this point. Something you want to say?
No, nothing. I just think, like, the Sixers are in just such a weird spot right now, right? Like, they have these two incredible players
They have stars on the
in
team,
Maxey
man.
and Edgecombe, but that is it. By the way, Kelly Oubre has played so bad in the playoffs, man. He's 38% from the field, 17% from 3. It's not good. It's not good. Paul George, very up and down. None of, and they might have the least amount of depth of anyone in the playoffs. If you look at their depth, it's Justin Edwards, Andre Drummond, Quentin Grimes, who has been abysmal, Trenton Watford, Barlow, Abana. Like, this team has no, like, they don't have anything. They have no depth. They have their young star, but that's it. They really need to focus on getting rid of these bad contracts and building around these two young stars. It's time to move on. But and such a bad contract for Paul. That Paul George contract was so bad.
Just as bad as their depth has been, their timeline is all over the place. You got two young stars in VJ and Edgecombe, and you got two aging stars on massive contracts in Joel Embiid and Paul George. They got to really think about this timeline strategically. I think you build around Maxey and Edgecombe.
Yeah.
I think that's obvious.
It's very, like you said, very weird timeline where, like, you also had like other rising stars like Jared McCain as well, who was extremely solid for you last year, and gave him up for what, an extra draft pick. Like,
That's honestly like that would have been a great piece to have in the series.
exactly.
Another scoring option.
And then obviously other players as well have just not been the same. Quentin Grimes is just not good.
I've been saying it, man.
I've been saying it as well. He's just not someone that's going to be carrying you the load. And any kind of series. And then an old Andre Drummond, which
Listen, there's always love
Legend.
for Andre Drummond, but
potential Hall of Famer, but
wait, what?
he's one of the best rebounders of all time.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
Discussion for another day. I agree. I agree.
Who's better, Amari Stoudemire or Andre Drummond?
Amari Stoudemire.
Okay, come on. It's not, and it's
Come
not
on,
even
bro.
close.
Yeah, of course it's
Okay.
not.
He's not a Hall of Famer. Don't ever say that ever again.
He has a shot.
Putting Andre Drummond in the Hall of Fame now?
Bro, he's one of the best rebounders
You
of
want
all
to put
time.
Andre Blatch in there now? Like, what?
I would love Andre Blatch in my Hall of Fame. All right? God damn it. Let's do it. But yeah, obviously, realistically.
By the way, Andre Blatch is not ball knowledge. That
It's
is
not
not
ball
ball
knowledge.
knowledge.
It's not ball knowledge.
All right. Let's get into the most interesting series, I think, so far, the Denver-Minnesota series. Obviously, Minnesota now goes up 3-1 on the Denver Nuggets, a shocking turn of events. But Minnesota lost Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo. Do you think that Denver has a real chance at coming back down 3-1?
I mean, if there's any team in the NBA that can return from this deficit, at this point, it's going to be the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets, we've seen throughout the entire year, have been phenomenal. You have the best player in the world on your team. But these playoffs, we have not seen that.
Not yet.
This is not the Denver Nuggets. Even game 1 where they initially won didn't move me. This is not the same kind of offense that we've been seeing. They've been all across the board just bad, shooting wise, and scoring.
It's been bad, but the shot selection's not bad. They're just not hitting their shots.
Yeah, but all across the board, it's been bad. And I think the Timberwolves on defense, they've just been locking them up. Straight up. Like, the Timberwolves defense has been stepping up this series in massive ways. Obviously, you got to talk about people like Jaden McDaniels, who's been locked down. We have one of the best defenders in the NBA, and Rudy Gobert, who's actually been playing incredible this series, to my disbelief. No disrespect, but
Long history of him and Jokic going at it.
of course. And to see the defensive side of this team as opposed to this Denver's offense, it's been really shocking. But then again, you can't sleep on this Denver offense. When they get going, it's scary.
I expect Denver to definitely come back in this series. I don't know necessarily win it, but David Adelman made a really good point of how yes, they've definitely struggled on the offensive side, but they are getting good shots up and they're just not falling. And I think that the defense for Denver, yes, it hasn't been great, but they've been holding them to less than what they average in the regular season, which is impressive. In the last game, they had 108 true points, and that's 10 points less than average, basically. And I think if Jamal Murray and Jokic get on the same page, I think they can easily come back in the series. We know the greatness they bring, and we know that their depth is legit. And it would be nice if they had a guy like Peyton Watson, but he hasn't been available. But yeah, I think that they could definitely come back.
Yeah. I'm kind of, I'm 1 foot in the boat, 1 foot out. Like, do I think they could come back? If there's a team to do it, it's the Denver Nuggets. We saw them do it twice in one playoff run back in 2020. And they have the best player in the world who hasn't played up to par yet. But at the same time, to get 3 in a row against this Minnesota team that definitely feels the rivalry. It's a scrappy series, right? Comments going back and forth, whether it's the coach, whether it's Jaden McDaniels. The fact of the matter is the Denver Nuggets have not played up to par, and that's all around, right? The two glaring obvious ones are Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, who both have had poor series, but Cam Johnson, their best three-point shooter, hasn't shot the 3 well. Tim Hardaway, their second best three-point shooter, hasn't shot the 3 well. Christian Brown, I mean, he's not a shooter, but he just really hasn't been bringing much to their team outside of every once in a while playing good defense. And even then, I don't look at him as a lockdown defender that you can rely on. Peyton
Definitely
Watson,
not this series.
Yeah, Peyton Watson would have been the difference maker in this series. You're talking about a guy who can go get a bucket, who also shoots almost 40% from three and shoots them at a high volume. I think that really would have changed a lot for the Denver Nuggets. But like Adelman said, like Griff, you just said, they have not been playing well. And this is something that I tell my team sometimes. Sometimes we lose games because we play bad. And those are kind of the best losses to have because you're not always going to play bad. And Denver is overdue for a game where they shoot 40% from three. And all these have been, except for I think it was game 3, all these have been tight games coming down the stretch. And that's all it takes. Is a few more shots to fall. They're getting the right looks. They just haven't been falling. It's not much you can ask for them. I think they're going to have to come out, that's what I think. On that same note, a lot of injuries have been happening. Minnesota Timberwolves obviously lost Dante DiVincenzo to an Achilles tear and Anthony Edwards to a hyperextension in his knee. A lot of injuries at this point in the year. We can even date back to last year where we had Tatum tear his Achilles and Lillard tear his Achilles at this point in the year. Does the NBA have an injury problem?
I'll say this. Obviously, we know that Anthony Edwards has been dealing with injury issues the past couple of weeks. Was dealing with it, missed a lot of games before in the regular season and end of the year. So we know he's not 100%, right? I just don't think it's fair to put a guy in a position where he has to rehab and be the best version of himself when he's not 100% and he's out there playing, and then he's at more risk for injury. And we see him go down, a very scary injury, and it just makes you think, do we need to put less pressure on these players, and is the amount of physical activity they are doing safe?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, just 82 games at this high intensity of basketball is a huge load on the body. The game is faster than ever. You can't be playing 82 games like how they played back then.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Running that much, jumping, exerting your body, it's just not suited for the human body. And that's why I've been a big proponent on load management. You gotta look at it, you gotta face it, guys. Like, you have to protect these players. Sometimes they do have to sit. These superstars, they play a lot of minutes. Lots of minutes. And having them to expose for that long at this speed, we see it in this year's MVP voting. So many of our top stars missing lots of games.
Anthony Edwards, not eligible for All-NBA because of the games that he missed.
Exactly.
Which is ridiculous because he's clearly an All-NBA player.
No doubt
And the
about
fact that he's not allowed to be on that list is disgusting.
Yeah. Even players like Victor Wembanyama have stated publicly the hardest part about this NBA season was playing 65 games, just being barely eligible for awards this year. That was the hardest part about the season. And that's we consider 65 the bare minimum for an NBA player. That's a lot of games.
You really need to be a different kind of breed of human to play in the NBA. You have to be a little crazy. It really is insane how they do it. I don't know how. I really don't.
I know what I'm about to say. It's controversial, but the NBA does have an injury problem. And I don't necessarily think the solution is load management. I think the NBA has to shorten the schedule. Now, not only will this help with the injury problems where we've seen Dante play 82 games, I believe he started all 82, goes down with his Achilles tear, similar with Tatum and Lillard, but it will bring the product of the regular season up. Right now, we have a lot of games in this regular season that are being tossed aside, whether it's because of load management, whether it's because of tanking, whether it's because whatever reason you want to put out there. There is way too many games for the fan to be engaged that long and for the players' bodies to sustain. And this is something that I've said for a while. I think we look back at those years after COVID where there was only 72 games played. I think we got way more suspenseful games on a day-to-day night because each game mattered a little more. Now, I understand the implications of money being different, right? And that's just something that's going to, these are all conversations that I don't have the
Not even
solution
money,
to.
History.
History being different. But we have seen shortened seasons in every sport, whether it's because of lockouts, COVID, whatever the reason may be. And I think that's a sacrifice that the stat sheets are going to have to make for the product to get better. And that's what I'm prioritizing is the product and the player's health. And I know it's controversial, but that's what I think the solution to this injury problem is.
I couldn't agree more. And I've actually shifted my opinion. I used to.
Yeah, you were very anti.
No, I was anti it because I am old school and I don't like when things change in any part of my life, honestly. But with the things I love the most.
Can I ask you a question on top of that?
Yeah.
Do you think the NBA should adopt FIBA rules in terms of 10-minute quarters? I believe they have goaltending. It's a little different. Travels are called a little different.
You have to. You shorten the amount of games. If anything, you keep the rules the same because then statistics are all different from the past, and that's a scary idea for me.
Can I just? The rules have been changed before, right? Obviously, hand checking is the one that's brought up the most, but the 3-point line was implemented. These are all rules changes that had big effect. The 3-point line was shifted from close to far, all over the place. Does that justify a rule change to FIBA, or is it still a little too extreme?
I personally think that's too extreme for right now.
Me personally, I do like FIBA rules. FIBA rules. What we saw in the Olympics were really good, really competitive basketball. I like it. Tipping out of the rim, their minute system.
I love that.
It's all great, and I think.
But what about the ball?
The FIBA ball I don't like.
Yeah,
I think it's an ugly ball.
it's ugly
On top of
ball.
the aesthetics, I've held one. Not my favorite ball.
Yeah,
But
fair.
NBA ball is trash too. Let's be honest. Trash. You ever hold an NBA ball?
Oh yeah, no, it's
Trash.
literally a rock.
It's so yeah.
It's literally a rock that bounces.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of FIBA rules, I really like the FIBA rules. Again, like I don't think a lot of people have this narrative that the NBA or what makes basketball entertaining is more scoring. I don't think so. When we look at that Toronto-Cleveland game that happened in Game 4, I was entertained the whole game. Not because they were scoring the ball, but it's because every time they scored, it felt like they earned that one. Right? It wasn't the high-scoring game. It was the fact that it was so hard to score. I think that FIBA rules encourage more defense and intensity because of the shortened quarters, because of I don't know. I don't think they have the offensive or no, what is it? Defensive 3-second.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have that. I think there are really what it comes down to is I don't think what makes basketball entertaining is the scoring. I think it's about how hard it is to score. So that's why I'm really in favor of the FIBA rules and the shortened minutes. I'm always in favor of making stuff a little quicker. But yeah, that's really where I'm at on that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it in other sports too. Like, it's cool when a touchdown happens. You know what I mean? Because you don't get a lot of them,
Yeah.
and less points is more fun at times. I that's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
One thing I want to bring up, just the Thunder Sun series quickly.
Let's do it.
I want to talk about Devin Booker.
I knew it.
I want to talk about him.
Go on.
28% from three in his 3 games so far, 5 attempts. 20 points per game. 4 assists. This guy's supposed to be a number 1 option. This guy gets paid $50 million a year. He is not playing like a superstar in this series. And again, he is playing one of the greatest defenses ever assembled. But some credit there has to be some way that you have to put some of this on Devin Booker, right? I think that another guy who might need to change the scenery is Devin Booker. I really do. And I just don't think there's a future here for him in Phoenix. I think he would be a great plug-in for a lot of different competing teams. in the West and East.
I agree, and I think a lot of the blame on the Phoenix Suns super team not working out was put on Kevin Durant, and rightfully so. But Devin Booker was part of that team. Devin Booker was one of the guys that you were looking to with that Phoenix team to really put them over the top. And you're saying this guy's the second option is going to be the key, and it flopped. It's not necessarily a numbers thing, but I do think that the change of scenery might do Devin Booker well. Now I think he's still relatively young. I think he's like,
He's been in the league.
He's getting up there, dude.
yeah, he's getting up there, but he's still like,
He's in his prime.
yeah, he's in his prime right now. And I think some teams could use him
For sure.
Yeah.
What teams do you think?
What teams do I think could use Devin Booker?
Yeah.
Detroit.
That was the first name I was thinking of.
I like that.
I think if any team goes after Devin Booker, it should be Detroit. I think you dump picks, a lot of picks, and go all in if you go for Devin Booker.
I agree.
If you're Detroit.
Let's talk about Dylan Harper, man. Let's
Dog.
talk about Dylan Harper.
Dog.
This guy went off for 27 in his first playoff series. He's 20 years old. He's a rookie. That's not normal.
Back-to-back great games.
It's unreal. And it's like you just keep seeing the potential of him being the Spurs leading guard. It's insane.
For sure.
Yeah,
Just across the board, I will say, we knew that this Spurs team was deep. And they're really showing how good they are. Even without Victor Wembanyama, that Game 3 win, having Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper step up, really showed me how good this Spurs team was. And obviously, the plug-in with Victor Wembanyama in Game 4 was the nail in the coffin.
yeah.
This team's good.
They're really good
This team is really good. This team is going
to go
to-
deep.
It's going to go deep, for sure.
I think all the questions that we had about the Spurs after Game 2 were pretty much answered in Game 3 and Game 4 with De'Aaron Fox stepping up. Like we already mentioned, Dylan Harper stepping up, Stephon Castle stepping up, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. The wing depth that this team has is something that is very much needed in winning a championship nowadays in the NBA. We look at OKC, we look at the Celtics the past 2 seasons, and they have the youth. Right now, some will say that's inexperience, but I think that's an energy and that's a good ignorance to have in the playoffs at times. Now that could come to bite you, but they showed no hesitation in that Game 3 after losing Wembanyama. They went out there, they attacked them. Game 4, right? They're down, 15 at halftime. Storm all the way back, win the game by more than 15. There's a youthfulness, there's a connection going on. They have the depth, especially at the wing position, which I think was the most important place to have depth. And then it helps that they also have this guy named Victor Wembanyama, which is arguably the best player in the world, top 3 player in the world right
He's
now.
pretty good.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's decent. Just heard about him.
7 blocks, is pioneering the best defense in the playoffs right now in San Antonio, and I think the 3rd best offense. So the San Antonio Spurs, every question that I had about them after that Game 2 in Portland has been answered. I think this team is going to beat the winner of Minnesota, Denver, and go to the Western Conference Finals.
I completely agree.
Totally agree.
And I think that the Spurs are a real problem. A real problem. I think this team can win a championship, man. And you guys have been saying it all year, and I didn't truly believe it, but now I do. I really do. You have to deal with the dungeon, man. Do you know what Denny's been having to deal with, man? You have to get by Stephon Castle.
And then what do you have waiting for him after you get by Stephon Castle?
The greatest defender.
Area 51, man.
Honestly, that's the paint now. You just call it Paint Area 51.
Yeah.
Rename it. That's Wemby's grounds, bro. And let's be honest, Game 4, Wemby didn't even have a great game. He didn't really get going in the first half, settling a lot. And then all of a sudden, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper start hitting him in the pick and roll. I mean, one of the best pick and roll big men in the league, if not the best. I think all answers have been answer. And going back to what we were saying about them making a deep run, if the Thunder don't have Jalen Williams, they're going to be in deep trouble.
Yeah.
If they are putting out a lineup and J-Dub is not there, or he doesn't perform up to the standard that we hold J-Dub to, the Thunder are going to be in some serious trouble. Aside from their regular season record against the San Antonio Spurs, the Spurs will have maybe better wing depth without J-Dub than the OKC Thunders. And that's what OKC has been prided on, is their wing depth. I mean, their all-around depth, but specifically that.
All right, one more segment. I'm gonna give you guys a former defensive player of the year. All right, and
Okay.
you're gonna have to agree on one guy and move forward. Okay,
Okay.
so you're gonna pick the one you think is better all time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Wait. At defense?
at defense.
Okay.
At defense.
At defense.
All right, Ben Wallace or Mutombo?
We're starting off strong.
Yeah, you're starting off hot, bro. I'm going to go, all respect to the African brother Mutombo, I'm going to go Ben Wallace. I think he was just better on his feet. Now, obviously, Mutombo has a rim protection, but I value that being good on your feet, especially for a big.
I would also have to agree with Ben Wallace. I mean, we're talking about a player that was strictly known for defense. Like, one of the most original players that can guard 1 through 5, I feel. Obviously, not much of a perimeter defender.
Yeah.
Obviously, more well known for being a lockdown at the paint. But stopping people like Shaq, being undersized and stopping these big centers, being physical enough to and capable enough to do so,
Yeah.
Ben Wallace for sure.
Who you got, Griff?
I'm taking Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace or Giannis?
Give me Giannis.
I'm going Giannis because of his capabilities of being able to defend 1 through 5 way better.
Yeah. His mobility is unreal.
Yeah.
Giannis or Gobert?
Gobert. I think he changes an NBA franchise defensively. If we're talking strictly defense, then it's definitely Rudy. Rudy is the anchor to any team's defense, especially in the paint.
I'm going differently. I'm going Giannis. I think that, like the same reason I'm picking Ben Wallace over Mutombo, I really value the movement aspect of defense, especially for that size. I feel like Giannis is better at that. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Gobert because he's one of the most hated NBA players as is, but I think just Giannis is a really big problem down there because of his 1 through 5 factor.
I also am with Giannis, so Giannis moves on.
Okay.
Giannis or 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Dwight Howard?
I'm interested to hear what you say. Are you going to be consistent?
What are you going to say? Are you going to be consistent?
I'll go with Giannis.
Okay. I'm going Giannis too.
Yeah. I think that factor of guarding 1 through 5 really moves me. And yeah, he's just a phenomenal defender.
Giannis or Kawhi Leonard?
Kawhi Leonard. It's Kawhi Leonard. Probably the best perimeter defender of all time.
And the greatest off-ball defender ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. So having those two combined, I've got to put Kawhi up there, man, for sure.
I'm going Kawhi as well. Just edging him out though. I think it's close.
Okay.
Kawhi or Gary Payton?
Kawhi.
Yeah, I'm going Kawhi.
I think that's a bigger margin for me. Like I said, I still think that Kawhi is the best perimeter defender of all time. And Gary Payton's no slouch as a perimeter defender, but when you're going against Kawhi, I think it's the gaps there.
Yeah, it's just the size, right?
Yeah.
Kawhi can just guard a little bit bigger than Gary Payton. They're both terrific perimeter, but Kawhi just does a little bit more to those bigger guys than Gary Payton does.
A little bit more.
To the bigger guys?
Yeah. I think a lot. There's a big difference between Gary Payton and Kawhi against big defenders.
I'll go on a little bit. I'm saying a little bit, but either way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Give me Kawhi.
Do you believe Kawhi Leonard's the second greatest defender of all time?
I do. I really do. Obviously, I think Hakeem is the best defender of all time. I don't think we all debate that.
No debate.
But as being the best perimeter defender and, like you said, off-ball defender in NBA history, I think that matters a lot. And his factor, also being able to guard 1 through 5, puts him up there as the second best defender for me.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not mad at someone saying he's the second best, but I'm thinking of guys like, I'm thinking of Scottie Pippen, man. I'm thinking of Scottie Pippen. I really think Scottie Pippen, man, does everything that Kawhi does. It's 1A or 2A, 2B right there. Obviously, Wemby will be in this discussion further down the line. But that's all I'm going to say on it. I'm not going to go any further.
No.
What,
Say an answer, bro.
I'm not. It's Scotty and Kawhi. How could you go wrong with either? They do like. Where do you guys rank Scottie Pippen all time defenders?
Stop. This
Go
is
ahead.
not going to go well.
Go ahead.
He's not in my top 5.
I don't think he's in my top 5 either.
Wow. Is he better than Ben Wallace?
No.
No.
Let's be real.
All right. That's going to do it
Yeah.
for this episode of Run the Tape. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out our Instagram, our YouTube, and our TikTok. A lot of great content's coming out. Stay tuned for more playoff content. And until next time, let's run the tape.
Run the tape.
Yep.